Hello, coaches. Welcome back to another season of Milwaukee State Volleyball. Back in the gym. I'm so excited. I love club season. I know a lot of you coach high school. Feels like we just ended, but I'm just so excited to get back in here. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about fostering a positive coaching environment. But first, I'm going to introduce myself and my role at Sting. So for those of you that are new or don't know me, my name is Coach Busy. I am an assistant this year on 16 Gold, as well as the club's mental performance coach. So my full-time job is a mental health therapist, but I also do mental performance coaching for athletes in Milwaukee and obviously at Sting as well. So I do a lot of work with teams and athletes. At Sting, I do some team workshops, so that's part of my role. You can bring me in to talk with your team about the following topics: confidence and anxiety, communication, moving on from mistakes was a big one last year, team cohesion, focus and concentration, things like that. So anything that you feel like your team, especially as the year gets going, your team needs some help with or just needs some extra time working on with me, I can come in for about a half hour or so, do discussion. We usually do an activity, a debrief, and then you always have the kids always have something to take with them to kind of work on. And those are kind of the topics that are covered. So that's part of my role. I also do individual work with athletes outside of Sting, meaning Sting athletes can come see me and meet with me. We can either meet in an office at Sting or on Zoom, but that's through my mental performance coaching business. That's the same thing if they want to work on, it's a lot of performance anxiety, emotional regulation stuff. But that would be like a referral through their parents, or if you talk to their parent or the parent talks to you, feel free to give them my information. I work with a lot of athletes from Sting and really other sports and clubs in this line of work, just the individual work, which I think has been super helpful. It's all confidential. It's just another person for athletes to talk to who isn't their coach or their parent, which seems to be really helpful as well. If you were a part of the coaching squad last year, you know that I did monthly videos for the club. This year, I kind of have a mental performance plan that I'm going to follow. Last year, I sent out surveys every month to assess kind of needs. This year, I've created a plan that we're going to follow as the season goes on. So each month, I will be sending out a video for athletes to watch. A lot of teams last year, when they would get the video, would gather their team in an office and watch it together. So there's always options in the activities that I do to do them as a team, always options to do them individually as well. I think the team is almost more effective, I would say, because then you're all on the same page about what we're working on, and it's accountability and everyone's participating in the mental performance training. So really, really helpful stuff. That will be repeated again this year, starting in December with our monthly videos that I will kind of create on my own following the plan. And then also I'm here for sort of like general education, mental health stuff. If you have an athlete who's struggling or you think that they need more support outside the gym, I won't be seeing athletes as a therapist. My role is just mental performance with athletes outside of my normal job. But if you have any questions about mental health, need advice, referrals, I am here for that as well. Definitely a liaison. These times, heightened mental health needs for sure. Athletes are not immune to that, and it's something that's talked about more, just getting more support for athletes in this realm. So it's great that Sting has me in this role of not only doing the mental performance coaching, but kind of as a liaison for just mental health needs in general. So don't hesitate to reach out to me for that stuff as well. So you guys are going to start with a general discussion. I'm obviously not there. Either Janelle or Dave or Adam, whoever's running this, is gonna lead this. But we have 3 things I want you guys to just discuss as a group. Feel free to kind of talk about one at a time, share out. Number 1, what do you see as the biggest threats to athlete or team positivity on the court? So if the player is, withdrawn or quiet or upset or something, what do you think usually is going on there? Do different age groups have different stressors? Do different things, different pressures, whatever it is, affect positivity depending on age? And then how have you helped and or hurt athletes' mindset in the past? So this is no, judgment-free, open, let's learn from each other zone. If you've done stuff in the past that you know affecting your athletes in a negative way, feel free to discuss that if you feel safe to do so. If you've done stuff that you think has supported their mindset, discuss that as well. And when I say positivity, I don't mean like they have to be like cheerleader, screaming, jumping up and down, positive all the time, but just feeling good about themselves and feeling confident. And how have we helped or hurt that? So I'm going to have whoever's running this pause the video, go ahead and discuss that. Once you get through all these kind of questions, then you can resume. All right, hopefully some good stuff talked about. I think some of my answers would include, if I go back for a second, definitely pressures from coaches, from ourselves, from other teammates, from parents for sure. That is a huge one. Making mistakes is a huge one. Other stuff going on off the court, like relationship stuff with friendships or other relationships, can be huge stressors. I think the other ones I'll leave up to you guys to discuss, but I feel like those are kind of pertinent to what I'll talk about for the rest of the session in terms of things that have helped or hurt. So we're going to talk about this in two different sections: fostering a positive coaching environment on the court, and then doing so off the court as well. So big believer in instilling confidence through feedback. If you're a type of coach that doesn't give a lot of feedback, that's fine. We're going to talk about the effective way to do it. Even if you don't give a lot of feedback, that makes our athletes feel more confident. So I think that feedback increases self-improvement, emphasizes self-improvement, and increases self-esteem, because athletes want to matter to their team. They want to feel like they matter and they are being effective on the team, and feedback is a way to do that. So I'm going to detail out what I think are, not what I think, but I know based on studies and things I've read in my work and my research about what makes effective feedback. If you guys are hearing this and want to take notes, I encourage you to do so. It's not a ton of stuff, but I think this is all really helpful. Feedback should be specific. So instead of saying things to athletes like good job, good hit, good pass, or just good, I hear that a lot. I say that sometimes too, good, good. They don't really know what that means, and that's not going to help them get better or feel better. So saying things like good hit, you kept your elbow high, and being really specific gives them something to hang their hat on, gives them something to focus on next time, makes them feel confident about the changes they're making, stuff like that. Our feedback should be using a positive language. So it doesn't have to be positive, like, again, cheerleader, jump up and down, screaming like you're the best, but avoid negative language. So saying things like don't break your platform is negative language. And that's like, in a way, putting our athletes down. Positive language would be keep a strong platform that gives them something to accomplish and achieve. These are really small differences that really are effective if you focus on them and implement them as part of your language that we use in athletes, and it makes just the environment a little bit more positive. It gives them things that feel like they are being effective, gives them ways to experience, achievement, productivity. So super small, like avoiding the words don't or can't or shouldn't, and making everything more like action forward is, in positive language, is super helpful. This is the biggest thing that I really stress. If I don't have a good day on the specific or the positive, the equal is the one I care about the most, probably. I read a study a long time ago about one of the best basketball coaches ever, Pat Summitt. She talked about the importance of, and the researchers actually studied her practices about giving equal feedback from your best player to your number 10 or 11 player. Everyone should get the same amount of feedback in any given practice, regardless of how much, that drills should involve everyone, but feedback should really include everyone. And the same type of feedback as well, regardless of your expectancy. So if my best player, I'm just in her ear the whole time because I want to talk to her, or if I'm just in the athletes here that need the most help, it's not going to foster our best positive environment. So some way I kind of keep track of this as a coach is I'll be driving home from practice, kind of replay practice in my head, and I'll think, did I talk to everyone today? Did I even if it's not, the same amount to everyone, but did I talk to everyone? Did my co-coach talk to everyone? How can I improve that next time? It's a really great way to kind of check through this. All three of these things are going to take practice if you don't do these as much, but I promise they're effective and they make our athletes feel more confident. So I encourage you guys to keep this in mind when you're giving feedback: specific, positive, and equal. Another thing with feedback is allowing athletes to give feedback about themselves so they feel a sense of efficacy. So saying things like, what do you think you could have done differently? That was a great hit. What did you do well? What do you guys want to work on? Again, a lot of studies show that a really good positive coaching environment includes athletes voicing themselves. Even if you're coaching 10s through 18s, they should have some insight about what they want to work on. Not just like what fun drill do you want to do, but like, what do you think is going well? What do you think we can improve on? That gives athletes a sense of like, oh, I matter, and my coach wants to know what I'm doing. Also, when you talk about the things you want to work on, it helps you kind of remember them a little bit easier too. So giving our athletes that voice, super important in terms of creating this positive environment as well. You guys know this, but it bears repeating. Let's praise the right things. Let's praise effort, teamwork, leadership, improvement, sportsmanship. If you're the type of coach that if you notice that you're just praising like a good dig or a good hit, that's great. We want to make sure our athletes know they're doing well, but I want my athletes to know they're making good effort, or I see them encouraging their teammates, or they've improved on something. Also really important, also fosters this really positive environment. So we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about fostering a positive coaching environment off the court as well. So sports tend to be a stress release for everyone that participates in them. I think it's okay that we push our athletes. We give them these big expectations. They play for this elite club, one of the best in the country, the best in the state. No argument there. But we want to make sure we foster an environment that allows growth and positive changes as well. So making sure that they are experiencing positive emotions, calling them out when they make improvement or changes, noticing them, giving them good feedback, making sure we're doing drills that include everyone and everyone gets to do things in them so they feel effective. Really great ways for them to experience positive emotions, things like that, super important. Other communications that I think are really pertinent are like listening to how they talk to each other. So I've had issues over the years of athletes coming up to me and be like, well, when we're in the huddle, so-and-so always like calls out everyone else's mistakes and puts us down. Like that is really important to have that line of communication with our athletes so we know how they're speaking to each other. We can change everything we want about the way we talk to our athletes and create this positive coaching environment, but it might not matter if they're not speaking to each other in a good way too. Another way to kind of catch this is limiting comparisons between athletes when you're giving feedback. So I think it's okay to say things like, watch the way so-and-so does it so they get a visual. You could also film an athlete in the way they're doing a certain skill if you want them to improve. But I think it's way more harmful to say like, so-and-so is doing this really well today, you need to work on this. Or we're noticing that the other middles are really closing on their blocks and you're kind of late. That's not going to help our athletes feel very good. It's not even about them. Just give them what they should be doing differently as opposed to the comparisons. Some more off the court stuff. So this is more of just general mental health check-ins, making sure that we show our athletes that we care about them as people too. That really helps us actually succeed on the court too. I would say as you get to know your athletes, look for some changes from their baseline or maybe some small warning signs. Like if an athlete is coming into practice and they're a little bit more withdrawn, maybe they're lashing out more, maybe they work really hard usually and they're giving low effort, as opposed to just saying like, oh, so-and-so was so crabby today. She had a huge attitude. Why don't we ask our athletes, hey, what's going on? What's in your head? You don't have to, play the therapist role like me, but I think our athletes want us sometimes to name and help them name and validate what they're going through. So before you are quick to maybe, lash out at an athlete who isn't trying and they normally are really giving a lot of effort or they look really off, pull them aside and see what's going on. That shows that we care and we're not just here to coach them, we're here to care for them as well. Having open conversations with athletes, like finding time to do check-ins before or after practice, or just like, talking about non-volleyball things. Again, if you notice a really high or really low, checking in, super important. Just kind of general check-ins to build trust, to show that we care. Making sure all of our players feel noticed and heard. I think I don't speak for myself when I say that we as coaches just maybe naturally bond with some athletes more than we do with others, or have deeper connections. That's just going to happen because we're people, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't then try to make connections or do check-ins with other athletes as well. We can't just chalk it up to, well, they talk to me more, or they open up to me more. We're the coaches, we're the adults, we care for all of our athletes. Making sure they're all feeling noticed and feeling heard is really vital to their success as well. That is all for me. My last thing I was going to put, but I did not put a conclusion slide, which is my fault, but I am around. I will be around. Something I forgot to include before, but I will be doing office hours this year. Our team practices on Thursdays, so I'll be in before our practices on Thursdays as well. If you want to stop by and just chat with me about anything, I'll be in the gym probably a little bit before or after practice on Sundays as well, because that's another day for us. If you ever just want to consult with me about things or need feedback on something, please reach out to me, send me a text, call me, shoot me an email. This is, why I'm here. This is part of my role at Sting. I want to help in any ways. And if I hear things in general, rumblings of things that I think that, your teams would benefit from, or different ways that athletes are expressing things, I'm happy to communicate that with you guys as well. But please do not hesitate to consult with me about anything on the mental side of sport. Again, I will be at the Sting Center extra hours for office hours this year, but I'm just around and I'm pretty approachable. I think I'm a friendly gal. So, come say hi or introduce yourself or chat with me. I love talking to people. That's why my job is a therapist and a volleyball coach, because I talk all day long. So please don't hesitate to reach out, stop me. I'm really excited for the season. I'm sad I couldn't be there today, but excited for the season and excited to get working with you guys. And as always, go Sting.